Sometimes another company's drill results sheds new light or confirms and heightens the enthusiasm for one's property. Hi, George Sanders, President, Goldcliff Resource Corporation, and welcome to our first peer company interview. And given that I haven't been an interviewer before, I thought I would begin by interviewing the person in the business that I have known and worked with the longest. So we will be talking today with Michael Carr. Mike and I first met as rookie stockbrokers in the spring of 1985. And in the subsequent weeks and months, we discovered that we shared a number of perspectives on the junior exploration business, a number of interests. And so we have become friends and colleagues and worked together for the last 40 years. So, Mike, thanks for being my guinea pig, and thanks for taking the time to do this.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about Bitterroot Resources Limited. Mike is the president of Bitterroot. The symbol is BTT on the TSX Venture Exchange, and the website address is bitterrootresources.com. The purpose of these peer interviews is to highlight and demonstrate the depth of talent and of dedication of the professionals in the junior resource space. And so today, as we're learning about Bitterroot, we want to make it clear that this is in no way investment recommendation. I am not a licensed investment advisor. Goldcliff is receiving no compensation for these videos. Goldcliff and Bitterroot have no business relationship. However, I do need to disclose that I am a director and an officer of Bitterroot, as well as a substantial shareholder. So, having gotten that out of the way, let's proceed to learn about this company. And Mike, I think we'd like to focus today on the LM property in Michigan, and I'd like you to give us a brief background on that, but I'd like you to do so in the context of the recent exciting drill results by Talon, and maybe a description of the geologic model that Talon is chasing and is at place for LM.
Well, the LM project is a magmatic nickel copper deposit. It's formed in the Mid-Continent Rift in northern Michigan. That area hosts the Eagle Mine, which is only about 25 miles to the east. We're in a very similar geological setting, same host rocks, same age of intrusions, and it's also analogous to the Tamarack deposit that Talon Metals has in Minnesota, which they've had a very exciting new discovery there of some very high-grade magmatic sulfides. The whole magmatic nickel copper sulfide world is getting some attention right now.
And tell us a little bit about nickel copper magmatic sulfide deposits.
Well, they form in rift environments, and we're working in the area known as the Mid-Continent Rift, which is one of the largest rifts in the world. Basically, you have deep-seated fault structures tapping the upper mantle. Magmas are coming up that are mafic or ultramafic magmas. In other words, they're full of magnesium and iron and nickel. They come up into the upper crust. At some point, they stop rising and start moving laterally as the pressure from below is equal to the lithostatic pressure above. And they'll move laterally before the next pulse of pressure comes up and pushes them up to a higher level. And eventually they become lava flows on surface. The sulfides are assimilated from the sedimentary rocks that the magmas are coming through. The sulfides accumulate in traps, or generally in flat spots. And so you get a step pattern where the magma comes up, goes laterally, goes up again, goes laterally, and so on. So in those lateral sections, you tend to get the biggest and highest grade accumulations of magmatic sulfides.
And at the new Tamarack discovery, that's what it looks like Talon has drilled into.
Absolutely. They had a resource there already in 2022. It was 17 million tons at 1.3% nickel. Now they've drilled into stuff that's north of 20% nickel, extremely high grade. Those sulfides have been exposed to thousands or hundreds of thousands times more magma than is present in the system right now. So a tremendous amount of magma stripped of its metal and deposited in this high-grade sulfide deposit.
Now, at LM, in Bitterroot's first drilling campaign there, we had, for a first pass program, a fairly high hit ratio of intersecting mineralization. Why don't you tell us about that, and then maybe where we need to go to find the source of what we've uncovered with that drilling?
Well, the LM is a target is a more of a vertical pipe. It's mineralized. We had 10 of 26 holes hit sulfide mineralization. The tenor of that mineralization is very high. So if 100% sulfide would run 7-8% nickel, 7-8% copper. So finding an accumulation of massive sulfide is really our goal here. The material that we drilled consists of disseminated mineralization, blebby mineralization, and some massive sulfide as well. It's largely been brought up from below. So there are rip-up clasts that are very high grade and clearly formed at depth. So really the target, we've only drilled it down to 300 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And the target depth that we want to focus on is sort of 600-700 meters. Follow the conduit down based on other drilling done by Rio Tinto in the area back in the 2000s. We know there is other mineralization along what we call the Roland Trend, and we just need to follow this conduit down to the appropriate depth. And we expect to see an area where, or we hope to see an area where the conduit has gone horizontal, and there should be a significant accumulation of massive sulfide there.
So it would be no stretch, safe to say that the mineralized intercepts in the previous drilling validate the geologic model,
Yeah.
and that this deeper drilling that Talon did in a similar setting really has heightened our encouragement to get back on LM.
Absolutely. The market's paid attention to it, and you can put a tremendous amount of metal in a very small space with these deposits. 100 meters of strike length, 60 meters wide, 40 meters high, at a specific gravity of 4, which is a conservative number, is 1 million tons. So 100 meters by 60 by 40 is 1 million tons.
But of high grade.
Very high grade. And there is a mill in the region. We're 100 kilometers from the Humboldt Mill, operated by Lundin Mining, which is fed currently by the Eagle Mine. So we're also a similar trucking distance away. So the logistics of finding a buyer for that ore are pretty reasonable, I think. And the trucking distance is the same. So what we would, if we were successful, we would only really need a small underground mine with a very small footprint, small environmental impact, and so on.
So Eagle was one of those types of scenarios, wasn't it? And really a sweet spot in the industry. A little bit lower cap, lower footprint, but high value output.
Yeah, Eagle's been extremely profitable for Lundin, and this type of ore body, they're compact and they're very rich in value. So I think it's a worthwhile target for a junior to be looking for, particularly when we already know we're in a mineralized system that we just need to continue following down.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the issued and outstanding capital of Bitterroot and some major shareholders.
Well, there's about 105 million shares outstanding. Myself and my family own about 17 million of those. plethora of precious metals fund, owns 15 million. You're a significant shareholder. So we've got probably about 35%, 36% of the stock closely held by some key investors.
Right.
And
So that minimizes the float a little bit.
yeah, the float would be down around 60, 65 million shares. And we have a good following in the U.S. Just historically, the stories resonated in the U.S. because our assets are in the U.S.
And so current market capitalization is under 5 million
Yeah,
Canadian?
4.5 million right now. Stock's 4 bid, offered at 5 right now, and it started to trade a little bit more volume as a result of the success at Tamarack and Talon's activities immediately next door to us, and now Lundin getting involved in that project.
Fantastic. Anything else that you would want to add for our viewers?
Well, we also have the Nighthawk oxide gold project in Nevada, about 30 miles west of Tonopah. We've just done a soil sampling survey. We're analyzing those soils for pH right now, and hopefully we'll have some news to talk about in a few weeks' time on that.
Fantastic. And just to conclude, I omitted when I introduced Mike to tell everybody that Mike, before he was in the securities business, was trained as and worked as an exploration geologist. So you know your rocks. I think equally important for the company, Mike understands the exploration process, and a key component of that is he understands the logistics of the exploration process. And why that's important is Mike has over the decades been able to demonstrate a very frugal approach to exploration expenditures and has a well-deserved reputation for extracting the most valuable possible out of exploration dollars. So if you want to learn more information about the LM project or all things Bitterroot, we gave you the website at the outset of the interview. And Mike, pleasure to talk to you about this exciting project, and good luck with it.
Thank you, George.
Okay.